lot of people. Man. Thank you very much. This is... Well, you know, we're down at crunch time, folks. We got to do it. We got to do it. Like at 5:30 today, you know where you're going to be, right? And watch out for dishonest stuff, because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of dishonesty with this. You just got to be careful. They have paper ballots. They have the whole deal going. Paper ballots, right? So just watch out. If you see anything, let us know about it. But we have a lot of people watching, because what's going on and what goes on is really quite terrible. Of course, New Hampshire was 100% legit and beautiful. You know that, right? South Carolina, absolutely perfect. And hopefully by tonight we'll all be together. We'll say this one was absolutely perfect. You know, we have tremendous poll numbers here, but you never know. I mean, dishonesty can knock out a poll very quickly. And that's the only way we lose, in my opinion. That's the only way we lose. This is a great state. I employ a lot of people. I spent a lot of money here. Nobody else did. I had spent a tremendous amount of money in this state. And I'll tell you, I love it. I love it. You know what I did. I think I have the best hotel in the entire state. And it's so adjudged. And I love it. And I'm here a lot. And I have a lot of friends here. And these other guys, they're all gone. You know what? They made their little speech this morning and they ran away. And you shouldn't be voting for people. It's like when I was with the folks from Arkansas, great place. And I said, Hillary and Bill Clinton abandoned you. How can you vote for them? How can you be with them? Arkansas, it's true. Well, these guys, they never abandoned you because they're never here. But they made a couple of speeches and they're gone, and you'll never see them again, believe me. So that's it. But Trump, I'm going to be here with you all night. All night. So 5:30, I mean, my most important thing, 5:30, you have to get out and you have to caucus. But you don't have to caucus. You know the nice part? This is a little bit different. We really insisted. You have a great chairman, a great state chairman. We really insisted, so important, that you go in, you can vote and leave. You don't have to sit around like a bunch of dopes. You can go in and you vote, you know, and you get out. Although you could go in, vote, put your thing in, and then watch that everything else is honest, okay? That's another way of doing it. Stick around for a little while. So, you know, a lot of things happened. A big poll just came out in the state of Ohio where Trump is leading by a lot, okay? Well, that's pretty good, right? So we're shaking things up. A poll just came out in Florida where Trump is leading by a lot. And I have a feeling Texas is going to be very good also, if you want to know the truth. Because Cruz has gone down a lot in the last few days. You see what... You know, when you hold up a Bible, and nobody loves the Bible more than I do, when you hold up a Bible, you don't then put it down and go around lying and doing a lot of things that are wrong. And I have to tell you, what he's been doing is terrible, and that he's been getting away with it. But now he hasn't been getting away with it, because yesterday he fired his director of communications, who I always thought was a decent guy. He's taking orders from Cruz, folks. I mean, give me a break. And, you know, he didn't report that he had big loans with Goldman Sachs and with Citibank, and he puts in his financial disclosure form, and he didn't, because he's Robin Hood. You know, he's going to help you with the banks. He's going to tell those banks what to do. He's going to be, believe me, folks, got 2 loans for $1 million, and he didn't put them down. He didn't disclose the loans, okay? No, well, think of it. And you would love to pay the interest rate. He had very favorable. They call it very favorable. How about like he's paying practically no interest, all right? Now, I know why he doesn't want that disclosed. We all know why he doesn't. But you got to be honest. You got to be honest. And we'll see. I mean, look, is that a correct statement? So we have to be careful, but I think we're going to win. I mean, I shouldn't say this because I know we're going to do well there. I've been to Texas many times. I have so many friends in Texas. They're all calling me. Mark Cuban actually gave us the Dallas Mavericks arena. And he gave it to us on a Thursday, and by Monday it was like, you had to see that place, 21,000 people. It was the most incredible evening. But we've had 35,000. We've had 20,000s all the time. We have by far the biggest crowd. Look at this room. Now, the press won't show it. The press will show these few people back here, right? Yeah! The press? No. The press isn't going to show this. The press isn't going to show that corner. They are the most dishonest. No, they're really dishonest people. They are disgusting, I'll tell you. No, they're the most dishonest. They're probably worse than Cruz, but not much. Well, you know, it's sort of funny how they tell you what to do. You know, like they're great, like they know. The New York Times, which is, forget it. I call it the failing New York Times. They buy a building, and they have a building in New York. They sell it for $125 million or so, right? Few years later, guy sells it for $525 million. And then they tell you what to do. They buy the Boston Globe for $1.3 billion. They sell it for $1. And then they write an editorial where they tell you how to run your life. Give me a break. And actually, if you think of it, I know why I get bad treatment in the New York Times, because it's owned by Mexico. I don't know if you know. A rich guy in Mexico actually has power at the New York Times. I wonder why they don't like us. You know, I just wonder. But think of it. $1.3 billion they pay for the Boston Globe. They sell it for $1, and they lose a lot of money in the meantime. They spent a fortune on computers and this and that. They ran it for, 7 or 10 years or something, losing a fortune. So they lost much more than 1.3. So they buy it for $1.3 billion, lose money for years, spend tremendous money on it. They sell it for $1, and they tell us how to run our lives, these people? Stupid. I call them the stupid people. And we should. I could go into a couple of other papers, but they've actually been treating me fairly nice lately, so I won't bother. You know, I won't bother. So we have a really big thing happening. We have a unbelievable movement going on. Look at this room. I mean, we have 2,000 people that got sent away. Look at the size of this, because the fire department wouldn't allow any more people. I can't imagine that, right? I mean, we're only bursting at the seams. I want to see the fire marshal. They say, sir, we're bursting at the seams. My own people. You can't get any more people. But this is happening all over. It's a movement. And Time Magazine recently did a cover story. It was a great story by a great writer. And it talked about the movement that's taking place. It talked about the fact that we want to take our country back. We want to be a smart country again. We don't want to be run by stupid people. And they talk about the fact that there's a certain anchor, Nikki Haley, who backed the wrong horse the other day. You saw that. I had the lieutenant governor, who's a terrific guy, and he won. She had, who the hell did she back? Yeah, Rubio. Who, by the way, I've been very nice to. I've been very nice. People say, why are you so nice? Because he hasn't hit me. When he does, you will see what happens. No. When he hits me. So far, if you look, and I'm not bragging, this is fact. In fact, one of the big newspapers the other day covered it very nicely. And they said, major story, biggest newspaper, front page. I won't say which newspaper, because usually I don't like the newspaper, but the biggest. And they had a front page about Jeb, who's a very nice person. See what I say? Now that he's out, everybody's nice. When they're out, they're nice. They ran a brilliant campaign. Sure, he spent $150 million, and I spent practically nothing. Sure, I'm in first place, and he was at the bottom of the heap. He ran a brilliant campaign, folks. It was brilliant. No, he was not nice to me. I will tell you this. He was not nice to me. And he ran tremendous numbers of negative, millions and millions of dollars of negative ads. But they had something. It was all about, they had it planned. He was the presumptive winner. When he announced, I don't know if you know, he announced a day before me. When I saw him, I announced the following day or something. But he was presumptive. He was going to be the winner. And he went out, he announced, and it went to like 22, 23%. And everybody else stayed out. Romney stayed out. He didn't think he could beat Bush. Well, he didn't think he could beat, he had the worst. He had a guy named Stuart Stevens, who was the worst campaign manager. And now this guy is on television saying, this is the way you beat Donald Trump. This is the guy couldn't beat Obama. He's a failed president. Stuart Stevens. Every time I see him on television, his hatred, he starts shaking. They mention Trump's name. And his hands start to shake. He starts to sweat. But other people start to sweat too, don't they, huh? But in all fairness to Mitt tried very hard. He had the wrong campaign manager. And unfortunately, Mitt, the last month, he gave up. He gave up even though he was leading. He could have won. We had a failed president, and we had somebody that just had very bad advice between Stuart Stevens and the other people. And maybe, you got to say it's Mitt's fault. But I backed Mitt Romney, and he failed. I backed John McCain, and he failed. This time I said, I'm going to do it myself, okay? Believe me. Believe me. And it's been an amazing thing. I mean, it's been to watch it and to see it grow. We started off practically from the beginning. Before they wouldn't poll me, the press. They wouldn't poll me. And they just wouldn't do it. And, yeah. Well, I felt good about that. But they wouldn't do it, and they wouldn't poll him because they said he's not going to run. We are not going to be used by Donald Trump, they said. We refuse to be used. And Mr. Trump is just having a good time. Believe me, I can be someplace else. I do love you people, but I could be on a boat right now. I could be doing a lot of things. No, I don't want to be. I don't want to be because, the theme, Make America Great Again, we're going to make it greater than ever before. Greater than ever before. And from the beginning, when I went out, and my wife said it to me, she said, darling, if you run, you're going to win. I said, how do you know? She said, because she's a very smart woman, actually. She's very, very smart. She said, because I see the way people react to you. And if you run. Now, if you don't run, you will never, ever look good. You will never, ever. Not that she wanted me to run. She preferred that I didn't. She likes our life. I mean, it's a nice life. This is a crazy life, folks. I mean, honestly, I'll tell you what, I said it yesterday. You meet some bad people. This guy, Ted Cruz, is the single biggest liar I have ever dealt with in my life. I mean it. I've never seen, he will lie about anything. And you meet now I've met much tougher people than Ted Cruz. He's like a baby compared to some of the people I have to do. He is like a little baby. Soft, weak little baby by comparison. But for lying, he's the best I've ever seen. He's the best. Of course, really, the great liars are the ones that don't get caught, right? The ones that get caught, they're not really great liars. I mean, he really got caught. Well, Hillary, so far, is doing a good job. Hillary, think of it. Hillary, somebody shouted out the name Hillary, and I will say this. There has nobody has ever committed the crimes that she's committed, and so far she's sailing along. She's being protected. Hillary is being protected. And I have to be honest with you, I don't think Hillary has the strength or the stamina to be president. I really mean that. Doesn't have the strength. And remember what I said. Remember when I said low energy for somebody else? I won't mention names. Hillary, I'm very good at this stuff. You need tremendous strength and you need tremendous stamina. And Hillary will come in for a meeting. She'll see a few people. They'll vet all the people. What are you going to ask her? What kind of cereal she has for breakfast? What are you going to ask her? Where does she buy her clothing? You ever see anybody? So I walk into a Lions Den. I don't know who the hell's in this room. But whoever it is, I love you. Okay? I love you. But with Hillary, doesn't have the strength. Remember I said it. She doesn't have the strength. She doesn't have the stamina. She'll do an event. She goes away. She'll do a debate. She goes away. She needs tremendous. We have the worst trade deals in the world. We're losing on trade. We're losing with our military. We can't beat ISIS. We're losing with health care. Obamacare is a disaster. We're going to repeal it or replace it. We're losing with Common Core. It's going to be ended, and we're bringing education back locally. We're losing with Big League, with the border. And we're going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for the wall. That's right. We're building a wall. And, you know, we have, even beyond the wall, we have great, great people at the border. We have Border Patrol people. They would call me up, and they call me now. I have friends now. They're like my friends. They're great people. They want to do their job. They're told to stand back. They're all set. They have the uniforms. They have the whole deal. Stand back, and people walk right in front of them. They don't want that. They called me. Could you come down? Could we show you what's happening? We have people pouring through the border. They're not supposed to be here. And we're going to let people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally. They're going to come in legally. And we are going to build a wall. And the wall is going to be a beautiful wall. It's going to be a very tall wall, much taller than this very low ceiling, believe me. It's going to be a wall that if you get up there, you're not going to want to come down. It's going to be like, can you send a crane to get this poor gentleman down? And we're going to stop drugs, and we're going to stop all of the problems that are pouring into our country. And the Pope was terrific, but he heard one side of the story. The following day, he couldn't have been nicer, but he heard the officials from Mexico, who I respect. They're smarter and they're sharper than our leader, if you call him a leader. I don't call him a leader. But he calls in Iran. He said, I spoke with the Supreme Leader. Give me a break, the Supreme Leader. He's not the Supreme Leader for us, I can tell you that. But if you look at it, we're going to have a wall, and it's going to be a great wall, and it's going to work. You know, if you look at the kind of damage being done to this country between the crime and the drugs that are pouring in, and the economic development, by the way, because they're taking jobs of American citizens. Now, when we need extra people, we'll work it out. When they come in, they go back. They come in, they go back. The grape industry is an example. I don't want to hurt an industry. We're going to make our businesses stronger, better than ever. We're lowering taxes for business, big league. We're going to make us, you know, we pay the highest taxes in the world. I don't know if you know that. Pfizer is leaving our country now because the taxes are so high and because they can't get their money. They have billions of dollars offshore. We have $2.5 trillion in different countries. Our countries, I mean, we can't get it. All these countries have our money. Now, the Democrats agree that it should come back. The Republicans agree that it should come back. We have a leader that can't put them into a room and let's make a deal, right? Do you know how easy that is? So companies are leaving for taxes. They're also leaving for something that never happened. They're leaving to get their money because they can't bring their money back into the country. And to have that money back in is so good. It's so good. They'll use it for things. They'll do things. They'll set up new companies. They'll do it. $2.5 trillion. I happen to think it's double that number. The government's reporting $2.5 trillion. You know how much $2.5 trillion is? And Carl Icahn, who endorsed me, a great business leader, and many of the business leaders, we're going to have them negotiating our trade deals because our trade deals are a disaster. Our trade deals are a disaster. What's going on with trade is so sad when you look at it. China, we have a trade deficit with China of $500 billion a year. $500 billion. And they treat us like they don't have any respect for us. None. And they come to the country and Obama gives them a state dinner. I'm not doing state dinners for these people. I'm doing state dinners for people that treat us properly. Now they're building in the South China Sea, they're building a massive military fort with landing strips and everything else. Total violation of everything. Not supposed to be doing it. They have no respect for our president. They have really no respect for our country anymore. And I like the Chinese. Look, the biggest bank in the world is my tenant in New York, all right? I sold millions and tens of millions of dollars worth of condos to Chinese people. I own the Bank of America, building a big chunk of it, a big chunk, in San Francisco, 1290 Avenue of the Americas in Manhattan. Got it through Chinese. I mean, the Chinese are fine, but they can't even believe. I have a lot of friends from China. They actually say to me, we can't believe we get away with it. They devalue their currency. They say it. Now, they never thought I'd be running for president, you know, so they tell me. They had no idea this was going to happen, but they used to say. Now they say, you know, they come up, lots of things. By the way, there has never been in the history of the world a greater theft than what China did to the United States. We have rebuilt China. They have taken our jobs. They've taken our base. They've taken our money. They've taken everything. They have drained us. If you look at the millions of jobs, the thousands of plants that have been closed, thousands of plants have been closed. And you want to do business in China, you can't. You try sending something into China, you're going to sell. I have a friend, he's a manufacturer, he's great. Really good. He said it's impossible to get his product in China. And when he does, they charge him tax. Now, when they send their product here, there's no tax. Come on in. We're the stupid people. Come on and sell whatever you want. Right? And then I'll have people like some of the so-called conservatives. I'm conservative, folks, just so you know. But I call these people the stupid conservatives. They'll say, Donald Trump is not a true conservative because he wants to charge tax to somebody selling their goods here. They don't say that the other side is doing it, okay? Because I am a free trader. I believe in free trade. But it has to be smart trade. It can't be rip-off trade. It has to be smart. So it's got to go, basically, simply, it's got to go two ways. Got to be good. When we lose $500 billion a year with one country, okay? Now you talk Japan. They send their cars in. By the millions, the cars come pouring in. We send them practically nothing. We send them beef. Beef. And they don't want it because their farmers don't want it. I understand that. And you know the story. So they send it back. Then we send it there. But by the time they get it back to Japan after 3 or 4 times, it's so rotted and so disgusting that they call it Kobe beef and they charge 10 times more because they're smart. It's true. You ever go for Kobe beef? It's like 10 times more expensive. And all it is the rotten beef, which they wouldn't take. It kept going back and forth. They don't want our product. They don't want our product. And I have the greatest business leaders in the world. Now Vietnam is acting very big. India is doing a great job for themselves. They're not, helping us much. And I love India. We're building 2 beautiful buildings in India. We're building buildings all over the world. But you know what? If this ever happens, I couldn't care less for the company. I'll let Ivanka and the kids run it. I have executives that will run it. It'll be fine. I couldn't care less. I care about one thing, making America great again. That's all I care. That's all I care. And by the way, speaking of that, something that I don't get credit for, and I should get credit, and was covered so inaccurately by the New York Times. They said, the Times, the stupid newspaper, they're so stupid, they're so vicious. They said, Donald Trump is not getting money from Wall Street. We checked I don't accept money from Wall Street. I can't get money from Wall Street. I'm self-funding my campaign other than the little contribution. But they write an article, and they know what they're saying. They know what they're doing. They're stupid, but they're not that stupid. They're saying, Donald Trump, we checked, gets no money from Wall Street. Well, that's a good thing, right? But the reason is, by the way, if I wanted to get money from Wall Street, I would have a fund. Jeb Bush had the biggest fund, $148 million. You could double it, quadruple it. I would have a fund in 2 weeks that would be bigger than any fund ever set up for anybody running office. I'm not doing it, other than the little contributions that people can put, because frankly, by the time you send them back, it's too much. And what they do is they send in, it's love. That is love. Those people, they love our movement. And there's no way you can send a woman her $17.50 back who writes a 4-page letter with seriously. There's no way you can send it back nicely. But we are self-funding our campaign. I'm not taking money from Wall Street. I'm not taking money from anybody. That's it, other than the little contributions. And I'll be honest with you. I don't get credit. I mean, even the stupid New York Times writes about, Trump isn't taking money from Wall Street. They actually say Wall Street's not giving me money. I could make 3 phone calls, have so much money, but I'm not taking it. I'll tell you, when you go to the voter booth, I hope you remember that, because I don't think I get any credit for it. I'm spending millions of dollars. Now, here's the good news. I've spent less than any of the other, major candidates. Some people are just playing games, okay? But I've spent less than any of the other candidates, and I'm number 1. Other people have spent like $140, $150 million, and they're down at the bottom of the pack. So I spent less, and my result is by far number 1 by a lot, actually. It's not even close. Wouldn't it be good to have a president that could spend less and be number 1? Wouldn't that be a good thing? Wouldn't that be good? He's so good. It would be so good. And that's what's going to happen. You know, in education, the top 30 countries, we're number 30 in the world. Okay? We're number 30 in the world. You have countries that you never even heard of that are doing better than us. But we're number 1 in the world in cost per pupil. And number 2 is so far back you don't even call it number 2. So we're number 1 in the world in cost per pupil, and we're number 30. We're at the bottom of the pack. You have Norway, Sweden, Denmark, China, many other countries. We're number 30. Wouldn't it be nice if we could change that so that we, even if we're not in the top 5, where we spend less money, which, by the way, getting rid of Common Core will save a tremendous amount of money. And you'll have better education. You'll have better education. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to protect, really protect your Second Amendment, okay? And you have... Just so you know, there's an assault on the Second Amendment, and there's an assault on Christianity, folks. Just believe me. We are being assaulted, and there's an assault. We've had tremendous backing. Jerry Falwell Jr., Reverend and Pastor Jeffress, who's great. He's on television all the time. He said, you know, he's got a better way of saying it than this, but I'll sort of paraphrase. He says, you know, Donald Trump may not be perfect, but the evangelicals, Christians, they really want protection, and he's the best for that. They want leadership, and he's the best for that. By the way, I happen to be Protestant, just in case there was any question. But Presbyterian, to be exact. Any Presbyterians in the audience? Any Presbyterians? That's good. Aren't too many, not too many left. I don't know. Where are my Presbyterians, okay? But Jeffress, Pastor Jeffress is a great guy. And I never met him when he was doing this, but he'd say, the evangelicals are very, very smart people. And you know, they had a choice years ago. And I'll tell you, Jerry Falwell says this, that his father, who was an incredible guy, he said the greatest compliment. He said, Donald Trump reminds me so much of my father. What they built with Liberty University is incredible. And he said, you know, my father took a lot of heat years ago because he wouldn't back Jimmy Carter, who could quote every verse in the Bible, but he did back Ronald Reagan very strongly, who couldn't do that, but he ended up being a great and strong president. And he said, that's what we want. That's what we want. So, I mean, having their backing is great. Having Sarah Palin's backing is fantastic. She's been so great. She's been so great. And you know, we have the backing of a very tough man on the border, right? Sheriff Joe? When Sheriff Joe backs you, you immediately know you have won the fight on the border. That I can tell you. Nobody tougher than Sheriff Joe. But we've got to be tough. We've got to be smart. When I went down on June 16th, I came down the escalator, which takes guts, believe me. It was a rough thing. To consider doing this was rough because you don't know. You're going to make a fool out of yourself. You've never done it before. I've never been a politician. I've been a jobs producer. I will be, by the way, the greatest jobs producing president that God ever created. That I can tell you. I will produce jobs. We're going to bring our jobs back from China. We're going to bring our jobs back from all these places that have been taking our jobs. We are going to bring them back from Mexico. Mexico, again, I don't blame the Mexican leadership at all. Although there was one gentleman, you know the story. He gave a news conference saying, we will not pay for the wall. Right? He said that. I said, nobody asked him. Who asked him? Right? It's Calderon. Calderon. Don't know him. Never met him. He said, please tell Mr. Trump we will not pay for the wall. Just so you understand, we had a trade deficit last year with Mexico, $58 billion. The wall's going to cost $10 to $12 billion. Peanuts. They will pay for the wall. You know, these politicians come up to me and they say, you really can't build a wall. This was a while ago. They said, you really can't build a wall. I said, of course you can. The Great Wall of China, 13,000 miles. We need 1,000, right? So they come up. Then all of a sudden, last week, my wife comes up to me. She said, darling, I don't believe it. Ted Cruz is on television. He said, we will build a wall. Okay? And now another one came out. We will build a wall. It's amazing the way I can talk people into things, right? We will build a wall. And she was shocked because, no, I was the only one. And do you remember the abuse? You can't build a wall. And every time I think about that, I think about 2,000 years ago, China, 13,000 miles. We need 1,000. It's actually 2,000 miles. But we have natural barriers, natural buffers, and things that will do a very good job, okay? I might make it a little longer. We're going to make this is going to be impenetrable unless you come in legally, in which case it's going to be fine. But Calderon, so he has a news conference. And he said, we will not pay for the wall. We'll tax him. We will not pay for the wall. So the newspaper, one of the people is here. And they call me up. Could we have a comment? Calderon, former president, Calderon said, Mexico will not pay for the wall. Could we have your comment? I said, yes. The wall just got 10 feet higher. It's true. It's true. Look. In all fairness, we'll end up having a very good relationship with Mexico. We're going to end up to be fine with Mexico. But they're taking advantage of us. Everybody's taking advantage of us. We have incompetent leadership. We have incompetent people. This morning I watched President Obama talking about Gitmo, right? Guantanamo Bay. Which, by the way, we are keeping open. And we're going to load it up with some bad dudes, believe me. We're going to load it up. But here's the thing I didn't understand. I heard this, but I didn't understand it. We spend $40 million a month on maintaining this place. Now think of it. $40 million a month. I think we have, what do we have left in there? Like 100 people or something? So we're spending $40 million. I would guarantee you that I could do it for a tiny fraction. I don't mean like 39. I mean like maybe 5, maybe 3, maybe like peanuts. Maybe in our deal with Cuba, we get them to take it over and and reimburse us because we're probably paying rent. You know, like Saudi Arabia, we're going to keep it open. By the way, we're going to get the cost down because that's ridiculous to pay 40. But these are politicians. I mean, these are just politicians. They don't know anything about dollars. They never employed anybody. A guy like Ted Cruz, he has no clue. He never employed anybody. He's a nasty guy. He's a liar, and he never employed anybody. That's a bad combination, right? I mean, I don't know. Hey, look, I told you, I'm leading in Ohio, I'm leading in Florida, but I'd like to really win in Texas. Wouldn't that be great? I love Texas. And I think now that he's exposed himself as a nasty person who lies a lot, I think he's going to go way down in Texas. So I think we have a shot in Texas. But he does commercials in me. I have one here where something to do with federal lands, and Donald Trump supports the federal government and the lands. And I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, I don't even know. It's this commercial, and it's put out by him. And I don't even know what they're talking about. And I've seen it like 5 times. I'm saying, I hope people aren't swayed because he lies. He's had to take down numerous commercials. The other day, during the vote, right, in South Carolina, it's the morning of the election. The morning. A beautiful day. I love the place. I love those people. And I think I'm going to win. I think I'm doing well. Wall Street Journal put out a totally dishonest poll, totally phony poll, in my opinion. I mean, in my opinion, because it gave us a little bit of a scare because they took me way down from what it was. And then when you looked at it, it was impossible. They said, this is a poll of very conservative people. Well, what about liberal people? What about other people? They don't vote? So I saw this poll come out where I went down to like 2 or 3 points, and, you know, that's a little scary because everyone's thinking I'm going to win. It was a real hit job. And then the story was even nastier. Donald Trump. It's funny. I had a really good Wall Street Journal poll about a month ago. I couldn't find it. It was way back in the paper, and I couldn't find it. To this day, I never found it, right? Now they have this bad poll, which I was still leading, but leading by like a little slice. Front page of the Wall Street Journal. Front page, the poll. Trump doing badly. The next day I had another one on the National. Trump doing, do you see my national polls? They're going through the roof. All over. But the newspapers, they're dishonest newspapers. They're dishonest. The Times, I think the Times is the most incompetently run. That's why they're losing their shirts. Wall Street Journal, very dishonest. These are dishonest people, in my opinion. And we have to, I'll tell you what, it's amazing. You think the media, I think it has a lower rating than Congress, which is hard to believe. Because honestly, you get these people better than anybody. I tell people how smart. You know, when I won in New Hampshire, they did a poll, and they did the same poll, right? They did the same poll in South Carolina. It was sort of like a similar poll. And it was, what do you think of this? I won with every single, I won with the women. I won with the men. I won with highly educated. I won with less than highly educated because I'm being very nice, okay? I love those people. They're my people. I love them. But I won with less than highly. I won with I won with evangelicals. I won with evangelicals. Cruz was supposed to win South Carolina because it was very heavy with evangelicals. So he was supposed to win. It was supposed to be they call it his benchwater, his strong point. And I went in, and right from the beginning, I knew I could do well there because the people are incredible. And I spoke to them, and they got it. They really got it. They got rid of this guy. He came in third place. I mean, it was incredible. But he's a bad guy, and he came in third place. You know what a great honor that is to knock off bad people? I love doing that. I love doing it. But think of this. So on the morning of the election, I get a call from my people. Mr. Trump, I'm sorry to inform. This is the morning of the election. I've been working really hard. I was there for a month. I'm making speech after speech. I can't stand it anymore. And I figured, now it's election day. We're going to take it a little easy. I get a call at 9 o'clock in the morning, earlier. And they said, Mr. Trump, somebody just did a robocall, and it's really bad. I said, really? What is it? It's about the Confederate flag. What do I have to do with the Confederate flag? Well, you said something to somebody a long time ago about, it was fine, about being in the museum. And, it was a very controversial subject. So he took a thing, they made it into a commercial. He said, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. Turned out to be his campaign manager, okay? Oh, it wasn't him. Then he did another one about gay marriage, okay? It's fine. Did another one about gay marriage. And he puts it on. I get a call 12 o'clock. So now I have 2 robocalls. Nasty, vicious robocalls. And I said, man, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose here. I'm going to lose in South Carolina. These robocalls are terrible. And we won in a landslide. We won in a landslide. I mean, it's so beautiful. The truth is, you're really smart people. And I have to tell you, for a while they were saying, Trump's people are the most loyal, which is true. That everybody... No. Even the really dishonest press, even I was going to say a word, I won't say it, okay? Even the really dishonest press says Trump's people are the most incredible. I mean, I had a rating. 68% would not leave under any circumstances. I think that means murder. I think it means anything, okay? And the rest, I think I got up to 92, which was like, will probably never leave. Like these incredible. Other guys are at 10%. I mean, they'll leave if you sneeze, they'll leave. They don't like the way you sneeze. My people, I love you people. Look at you. I love you. I love you. My people are the most loyal. But they like to say, though, I see it all the time on television, because let me tell you, you're smart. They like to say, Trump has a very uneducated... Let me tell you, no. It's all... I won with the smartest. I won with the most educated. I won with the smartest. I won with people that are smarter than anybody, but they don't have the big education. My people are the smartest people. Believe me, the smartest. Because they get it. They get the total dishonesty. They fully understand it. And we won with everything. But we have the smartest people. Remember that, folks. We have the smartest people. They like to say that because they think maybe that's a negative. Just like these cameras, they'll never show that corner of the room. They're never going to show this room. They're never going to show this room. I mean, no, they're never going to show it. They won't do it. They won't do it. I've been working in them. That's why I love protesters. Because the only time they move is for a protester because they think that's negative. Last night, can't stop the Trump. You're right. Can't stop this crowd. Can't stop this crowd. When I first started with the speeches, and the crowds got bigger and bigger and bigger. It's word of mouth, and the movement started. And now they're talking about it. They say, I get a call from a very important writer, most important, happens to be a liberal. And he calls me up and says, how does it feel? I said, how does what feel? How does it feel? What you've done has never, ever, ever been done before. I say, doesn't feel at all. If I don't win, it's a waste of time. And I'm not talking about winning primaries, getting to be the nominee. I'm talking about winning against Hillary or whoever we're going to be fighting. And this reporter, and he said it with respect, he says, no. It doesn't matter whether you win or not. What you've done has never, ever been done in the history of politics. And I said, maybe so and maybe not. But to make our country great again, we have to win, and we have to be able to do all these things. So that's the way I view it. I mean, I view it. It was actually a very complimentary call. By the time I finished with him, he never wrote the story because, you know, it's interesting because I was so negative on it because I really believe that. I could have had a nice story about it. It doesn't matter. But you do have to get Time Magazine because they talk about the movement. They talk about what's happening. They talk about it in the most glowing terms. And they talk about it in the most sophisticated terms. They talk about we're the internet compared to a store like Macy's, which was extremely disloyal to me, by the way, very disloyal. Don't shop at Macy's. You know, when I went out, good friend of mine, was a good friend of mine, when he ran Macy's. When I went out, and this was sort of crazy, and I said, we have to stop illegal immigration. I started doing the whole thing. Turned out I was right. But it took 3 or 4 weeks for people to realize it. But when I went out, I got a call from Macy's. And they said, you know, this is a very controversial position. Now, look, it was peanuts. I'm selling like, what, shirts and ties. It's not a lot. Not a big deal. And the ties were made in China, so I didn't even care, to be honest with you. You know, I was probably going to have to get away from that one pretty soon anyway. You want to know that. But they came out and they said, Donald, this is very, very controversial. We're going to have pickets coming, Hispanics. By the way, I think I'm going to win the Hispanic votes. Do you know, in the state of Nevada, you saw it the other day, I win with Hispanics. I win with Hispanics. First of all, they're here legally, and they don't want their jobs taken away from them. And second of all, and importantly, they know I'm going to bring jobs in. They know I'm going to take jobs away from Mexico and China and all these places. But they said, we're going to have pickets in front of Macy's. I said, so what? Have pickets. I have pickets all the time. I have pickets like all the time. And here's what happens. They'll picket for 20 minutes and they want to go get lunch and they'll never show up again. He said, no, this is terrible. We're going to... And that's what happened. They showed up for about 2 seconds. But in the meantime, they said, can we do this? So I said, just very disloyal people. Just remember that. I don't shop at Macy's too much anyway. But don't shop at Macy's. Don't shop. You know what? Because in my opinion, they don't have the best interests of our country in mind. That's what I say. They're more interested in being politically correct. And political correctness is killing this country. Remember that. It's killing this country. So, and I told you before about Christianity, we are going to be saying at Christmas, very soon after I get in, we're going to be saying Merry Christmas again. We don't say it anymore. Merry Christmas again. When I made the statement, and it had to be made, and I've had so many friends that were Muslims calling me up saying, Donald, not all of them called me, but some called me. Some very, very successful ones called me. They said, Donald, you've done us all a big favor because it's something that has to be talked about. There's something going on, folks. And when I said we have to have a temporary ban, it was so important. Now, nobody else is going to say that, and I knew it was going to be a rough thing to say, but there's something going on, folks. When you're flying planes into the World Trade Center, when you're killing the 14 people in California, when Paris happens where you shoot 130 people, and you have many, many people dying in hospitals, it was so tragic. You have people so mortally wounded. By the way, the toughest gun laws anywhere in the world are Paris and France, okay? They had no guns on the other side. If a few of you characters were in that room and you had your gun along your ankle or along your waist, it would have been a whole different story. Would have been a whole different story, believe me. Would have been a whole different deal. I tell my friends, you know, these guys, they want to take away the Second Amendment. You have a couple of people, like Hillary Clinton. She wants to destroy the Second Amendment. No, she does. A really bad issue for her, but she wants to destroy the Second Amendment. When I negotiate and debate with people, especially from New York, because they all think, oh, get rid of guns, get rid of guns. When I talk to them about it, in front of people, I like debate them. I like it, because that's a debate you can't lose. And I say very simply, if we had guns on the other, where the bullets are flying in both directions, like not just one direction. The bullets now are flying in two directions. Boom, boom. You know what's going to happen? They lose that debate every single time. Every single time. I call them up the next day. They say, do you agree? Right? Do you agree? They say, nah, I don't know. They can't win that debate. So we're going to protect our Second Amendment. We're going to be safe. We're going to be happy. And nobody is going to mess around with it. Nobody whatsoever. Remember that. Just remember that. So, the other day, something very bad happened. And it's peanuts compared to others, but it was very bad. To me, it hit a nerve. Because I buy the product, right? I buy it. You know what it is? Come on. Carrier, right? I buy Carrier air conditioners. I buy a lot of air conditioners. Now I buy Trane because, I like them when they're made in this country. But the other day, it was announced very, very strongly, it was announced that Carrier is leaving for Mexico. 1,400 jobs. And somebody had one of the cell phones going. And they have it going as this executive is saying, we're closing up shop, we're moving to Mexico. And I said to myself, that was sad. It was sad to watch it. And these people will never get jobs like this. They'll never get jobs like this. They were there for many, many years. They do a great job, make a good product. They're going out. They're going to move. They're just closing up, and they're going to move to Mexico. And other people are also moving from United Technologies. They're going to move a lot of businesses to Mexico. I said to myself, I was a really good student. I went to the best school, the Wharton School of Finance. And whether you went to Wharton or whether you went to high school or whether you didn't go to high school, believe me, there's nothing good coming out of these trade deals we have. There's nothing good. So they're going to now move and they're going to make air conditioners. And here's what's going to do. The people running against me and all of the people in Congress, senators, everywhere, they all have special interests and lobbyists and everything else. In fact, you have lobbyists, it says on their name, the head, I represent Ted Cruz. I represent this one and that one. In all fairness, Jeb had Woody Johnson of Johnson & Johnson is his top fundraiser, his top campaign finance chairman, right? Woody Johnson, pharmaceutical. Okay. Now, do you really think that Jeb or anybody else, and I'm talking about Jeb with respect, do you really think that Jeb or anybody else, or Ted Cruz, who's representing a lot having to do with oil and everything, these people are all controlled. And I know many of the lobbyists, and they literally work individual people. You have lobbyists that are good for 3 people. That's all they do. They focus on them. They take them out to dinner, they help them, they raise a lot of money for them. And when there's a problem, you call X-lobbyist who's good for X-senator, okay? Whether it's Marco, whether it's Ted, whether it's anybody up here. That's the way the game works. I mean, who knows the game better than me? I was a very establishment guy 9 months ago. And then when I decided to do this, they went crazy. They said, what's Donald doing? He was one of us. Well, I know the system better than anybody. And I know half of the people. In the last debate, last 2 debates, I looked in the room, I saw all people I know. They're all lobbyists. And when I said something good, and they say I won those debates, by the way, almost everybody. But it's tougher. You say something great, and you hear like nothing. Then somebody else gets up and makes a fool out of himself. He gets a standing ovation. You tell me that's easy, right? And they were given out by people. It's a disgrace. But again, I'm self-funding, so I didn't have anybody. I had my family in the room. So I'd hear my son, hey, I have one son who's much more vocal. And I hear Eric. And he was screaming, he was going, wow, but it's one person. We can't, it's not like 2,000 people. But we have to change our system, folks. And we have to do it, and we have to get it done, and we have to get it done fast. Here's the story. The pharmaceutical term limits is fine. The pharmaceutical, in theory, term limits, I'm fine with term limits. But in theory, you people are the term limits. It's called, if somebody does a bad job, you vote against them and you get them out. But where that's hard, in all fairness, is when, pharmaceuticals gives guys millions of dollars and lumber and they have everything. It makes it hard. But I'll give you an example. A friend of mine who's a doctor, he tells me that the drug industry doesn't bid out drugs. I said, you have to be kidding. It can't be possible. Then in about 2 seconds, I said, oh, I know why. Because these guys are all taken care of by the drug industry. Do you know we don't bid out drugs? We're the largest purchaser of drugs to make you better. Drugs to make you better. We're the largest purchaser in the world. We don't bid it out. There's legislation doesn't let us bid it out. So when you go to the drugstore and buy something, you're paying a similar price that the United States of America is paying, and they buy billions and billions of drugs. If we bid it out, we could save over $300 billion a year. So when Woody Johnson, who's a nice guy, he has great real estate. He bought an apartment in one of my buildings, right? So when Woody Johnson and all these people When they come to me and they say, Don, would like to see it, they didn't give me anything. I don't want anything. It's so important what I'm telling you, because they have total control over these people. $300 billion. I mean, think of it. You believe the kind of numbers we're talking about? Now, multiply that times many times, because in our military, and you've seen it, I've seen it ever since I've been a young guy, you have people buying. I'm still young. I feel young, I tell you. I feel young. I feel better than ever. Do I have a choice? Do I have a choice? No, I feel better than ever. That's very important. My doctor wrote a very strong note. You know, everyone's saying, could we have it? He said, he's in the best shape of anybody I've ever... This doctor went a little bit overboard. In fact, people said, did you write that letter? I mean, that's... No, I feel very good, I have to tell you. And if you don't... And this is what I mean by the energy. Hillary needs energy because we have made so many mistakes. We have made such bad deals. We have to correct all of this stuff, whether it's in trade, whether it's in war, military. How often do you see where we're ordering the wrong airplane, we're ordering stuff we don't want? The reason is that those companies are better politically than the companies whose product we want, okay? That's not going to happen anymore, folks. It's not going to happen. We're going to get, I've seen it over the years. We're ordering aircraft that the generals don't want. We're ordering things that... We're going to get the stuff we want. We're going to make our military so big and so strong and so powerful, nobody is going to mess with us. Nobody. You know, Hillary Clinton made a statement not so long ago. Oh, she made another one about 4 weeks ago about sexist. Believe me, she had a rough week with her husband. The last person she wants to run against, by the way, is me. Chuck Todd, a very nice guy for NBC. He said, I was told that Hillary Clinton would most like to run against Donald Trump. Okay? This was after that big weekend, the bad weekend that they had, right? And I was told personally that Hillary Clinton would most want to run against Donald Trump. I was told that on good... I called him. I said, Chuck, let me explain something. Here's the way it works. You know, we're playing chess here at a high level. When they say they want to run against me, that means they don't want to run against me, okay? Get it through your head. And the Q poll just came out. I beat her. The USA Today poll just came out. I beat her. And in all fairness to beating her, I haven't even started on her. The only thing I did, I haven't even started. I mean, look at what we did together. Because I'm like a messenger. We're all together, folks. This is our deal. Look at what we all did together. I'm not going to say me, but I'm the one that gave the message. Look at what we did to various people. Governor Walker, a nice guy, took him out, right? He was leading. He was going to win. He was going to win. The governor from, as you know, Texas, nice guy, right? Governor Perry, a very nice guy. He made nasty statements about me. And then I challenged his IQ, which wasn't nice to do. And I challenged his glasses. What the hell are you wearing glasses for, all of us? I said the glasses aren't working. And the only reason I do this is they all went to other people. They're backing other people, so it's fair game. Do you agree with that? And I have to say, many people have called me and they want to back me. I find endorsements very unimportant. I really do. I do like having Sheriff Joe. I do love having Sarah. I do like having... I really love having, as you know, Jerry Falwell. I think he helped me a lot with the evangelicals, right, in South Carolina. I think he helped me. I love having Pastor Jeffress. But I find that they're a lot of work. I have some people that gave me a endorsement, and they're such work. They call every day. I think you should say it a little differently. May I come over and talk to you? I say, I don't have time. I don't want to say it differently. I like the way I said it. It seems to be working. But think of what we have done. So Walker was going to win. He's gone. Jeb was going to win. Jeb was going to win. Hey, Jeb is gone. He forgot three words, according to, I'll say it, the New York Times. 3 words. Donald John Trump. He forgot. He had everything else going. He had everything going. And the reason I tell you, I did call him to wish him the best. He didn't take my call. That's not nice. That's not nice. Right? That was very insulting, right? Actually, I was betting. I said 50-50 he doesn't take the call. It's not that he didn't take it. I think it was nicer than that. He just didn't call back. Maybe he did. We didn't get the return call. But think of it. Jeb's a nice person. He really is. I have, you know what else I have? I have the toughest people. I have the smartest and I have the toughest. Think about this clown senator we have, Lindsey Graham. He was so vicious. He went on television. He's shaking. He's discussing me. He's shaking. He's our guy. He's going to tell us what to do. He's been in there forever. He's going to tell us how to win the war with ISIS. He is so wrong. It's almost you have to do the opposite of what he's saying to win. He's going to end up getting us into World War III. He's been there. I know more than anybody. I've been doing this for many years. That's right. We've been doing it for many years. And look where we are. It's worse than ever. It's worse than ever. I mean, the hatred this guy has. So he started out at 6 or 7. He went down to 0. And, in his own state, I was at 40 and he was at 1. I said, I don't think I want his endorsement. Do you agree? He brilliantly endorsed Jeb Bush. A week later, Jeb Bush was out of the race. No. These are the people we have running our military. He endorsed Jeb Bush. A week later, Jeb was gone. This is who's telling us how to beat ISIS. These guys are brilliant guys. They sit there. They watch this. They can't believe it. We had a question in the previous debate about waterboarding. They asked Ted Cruz. He was on my left. Right? I've been in the middle. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear it. But it could have been foul, so I'm doing this for the press. Anybody that says something like that, I will reprimand them. Who said it? I didn't say anything. You are reprimanded. Okay, that's a very light reprimand. I didn't say it. They'll say now, remember when somebody in New Hampshire shouted out something about Obama and they thought I was supposed to defend him and it went a whole thing and I went because I didn't say anything. I said, I didn't do anything. So if I don't do anything, they go after me. If I do something, they'll go after. So I'm reprimanding you, sir. Officially. That's official. But okay, so listen, let's go over a few of these guys, right? So you have Perry, he's Gonzo. And every one of them who attacked me, everyone. And now I'm watching television. It's sort of weird. I'm watching CNN. I'm watching Fox. I'm watching MSNBC. They've been treating me really great. I got to tell you, I guess their ratings go very good when they put me on this. But I have to tell you. So I'm watching, and they're saying they're afraid to attack Donald Trump. They're afraid. He has made mincemeat out of everybody that's attacked him. He has absolutely destroyed everybody. It's been horrible. It's horrible. What he did to Jeb Bush, what he did to Governor Perry, what he did to all of these people, they're all afraid of him. And I said to myself, isn't that the kind of guy we want for president? Right? I don't know. So I've hit Ted Cruz very hard because, I just can't stand liars. But I haven't hit Rubio because he's been so nice. He's probably the smart one, right? I can't, I tell everybody, I like counterpunching because I'm basically a fair person. So I like counterpunching. And the counterpunching is fun. I'd rather go in early and boom. Militarily, we have to do something. We're going to get rid of ISIS so fast, folks. But Marco Rubio is a nice young man. Right? Nice young man. I can't hit him. No, he hasn't hit me. No. He has not hit me. I'm treating him nicely. When he hits me, is he going to be hit? Actually, I can't wait. I said that about Cruz. We were both being very nice, and he was being very nice. And then all of a sudden he said something a little off color, and I said, well, thank goodness it's time. And he lost the evangelicals, right? In South Carolina, he lost the evangelicals, and I'm leading with the evangelicals nationwide. So anyway, we'll see what happens with Marco. I mean, at some point he may get nasty, in which case, fine. And I hope he does because it's more fun, right? Isn't it more fun? But he's been very nice. Okay, so look, here's the deal. We have a mission. We have a mission. It's so important. You have to today at 5:30. You have to get over there, no matter what you're doing. And I'm not going to be cute. You know, a lot of times I'll say, if your wife left you, if you're dying, if you're feeling horrible. I'm not going to play games. I'm serious. You have to get out. You have to go caucus. And to put it in our language, you have to go vote, essentially. Okay? You have to go. Keep your eyes out for dishonest stuff. Report it to the police if you see anything, because the police are great, and the police love Trump. I have so many endorsements. Even the guys outside. Where are the police? They love Trump. And I love the police. The police are treated not fairly, folks. You'll have one bad act out of millions of acts, and it ends up being on network television for 2 weeks. The police, we really have to pay them thanks. They have been amazing. But report them. If you see something going on that's fishy with the paper ballots, report them to the police, and they'll take care of it, believe me. But I just want to thank everybody. We're going to do something that's so great. We're going to start winning again. We're going to win on trade. We're going to win with the military. We're going to knock out ISIS fast. We're going to win at the border. We're going to win in so many different ways. We're going to win with education. We're going to win with health care. We're going to knock out Obamacare. We're going to come up with something so much better, so much less expensive. You're going to be so proud of it. You're not going to be giving it up. You're going to be rushing to get it. We are going to do so well, and we're going to win, win, win again, and we're going to make America great. So get out there today. I love you. I love you, folks. I love you. Thank you.